Hi there, everyone, and welcome to Paper Wishes weekly webisodes. I'm Sara Newman, and I'm so happy you're joining me for this episode of Saturday with Sara. Today, I'm excited to show you two really fun collections from our friends at Ciao. We have Summer Days and Woodland Party. Now, each of these collections contains 32 pages with 160 plus images, perfect for card making, scrapbooking, collage, journals, all kinds. Now, each of these collections also includes 4 sheets of transparent images, and this is an example of one of them. So what you can do is grab your scissors and trim out the image, and then they are all on a backing sheet like so, which means that you've got lots and lots of stickers which you can use, grouping them together, layering them up with other elements in the collection, and so much more. So let's take a closer look, and why don't we start with our Summer Days? And I'm going to flip through these collections pretty quickly. I just want you to see the style of the artwork and the types of materials that are included. So in the Summer Days set, of course, with your sticker images, you've got lots of elements that can be used as messages or journaling sentiments. The other parts can be used as your backgrounds, full backgrounds or partial backgrounds. Now these images here can be used together. You can trim this out and have this be a backing sheet, or you could also cut out, fussy cut those images, or even tear around the outside edges if you like a decoupage style of collaging. Great backgrounds, really versatile designs here. This collection is just loaded with so many wonderful summer themed elements. Now what I really like here with this sheet, these 2 sections can be trimmed out and used as backgrounds. So these are the adhesive sheets, which means that you've got nice large backing areas for doing some additional layering. I really like that this has kind of a vintage tropical theme to it as well. As you can see, there is just a lot in here. Now when I come to the back of the collection, this will actually unfold, and it's 3 pages with additional cutout pieces. On the back side of this, though, is a really versatile background sheet. So there is just so much included in even just one of these collections. Well, let's take a look at the other one. So this is the Woodland Party. It definitely has a different theme to it. When I open this up, you can see just how sweet these images are. So this one, we've got adorable woodland creatures, rabbits at a tea party. We've got some squirrels with their cakes and their tarts. Just adorable. But the format is the same. Beautiful background papers, lots of images that you can fussy cut, tear around, and of course you've also got your adhesive accents like these, for example. Now, I think this set is absolutely adorable. I think these images are just so sweet, large and small, and they come together so easily to create really beautiful projects. Okay, I'm going to keep flipping through here. We just have so much in this collection, which is a lot of fun. Here are some more of the adhesive images. Now, as I'm coming to the back of this collection, I want you to also notice something here too with the inside back. So this fold out section has a lot of these elements like so that can create pockets and folders. Really nice way to add some dimension to your project. So whether you're including this on the front of a card or on the inside or perhaps as a scrapbook page, and of course on the back you've got a really nice versatile background. So as you can see, we have got so much to play with today with these 2 gorgeous collections from Ciao. I'm really glad that you're here today, and I'm so excited to explore the creative possibilities with you. So come play with us. Let's start with this card, which is using the Woodland Party collection to create a really fun interactive design. I absolutely adore these sweet images, and the papers make such an easy background scene for them. And of course, the pocket cutouts are ideal either for the card front or for the inside. Now here, as you noticed, I have another cutout included, but you could also tuck in a gift card or a money gift as well. So to create the card background, I first covered the card front with the wood grain patterned paper, and then I trimmed down this floral background sheet slightly smaller and glued it right on top. The pocket is folded, and then I wrapped it with some jute twine before I glued it to the card front. Now the jute twine, this is one of my favorite ways to add some texture to a card. Comes in a package that looks like this, and inside you've got all of these really beautiful colors, nice basic colors here. And what I like about the jute twine is that because it's a thinner, lighter fiber than perhaps like a ribbon or something chunkier, you can easily wrap it around a pocket or an envelope like this. It's going to add some softness and some dimension to your project without adding in a lot of bulk. This is also nice if you're like me and you mail a lot of your cards and you don't want them to be too thick or bumpy. So it's another nice solution. So I've added this to the front of the card, and then I fussy cut the mouse and this little frog, and I foam taped them onto the card front, kind of overlapping the pocket. And I used foam tape for them because the pocket is a nice, thick, sturdy cardstock, and so I wanted everything to be relatively level or even, so you didn't have, this kind of sagging in on one side or the other. So let's take a closer look at these pockets, which I absolutely adore. You have a lot in the Ciao collections, especially this one, and I've just trimmed out a couple of them from some of the sheets in the collection. Now, they're really easy to fold up. They are a nice, sturdy, thick cardstock material. So my little tip for folding these up nicely is to use a ruler or some other straight edge. So you've got a couple of choices here. With this one, for example, I've used my scissors to trim this out from the background sheet. And then what I like to do is position my ruler or straight edge right along that fold and then fold this up to score it. And I do it working from the front because this is where you can see that line a bit more easily. So then flip it over again, and you might want to use a bone folder to really get a nice crease on there. So this is one option. This is what I was doing, and then I discovered a slightly easier way to go about it. So with this pocket, for example, I've just trimmed it out from the background sheet, but I haven't gone around all of the outside edges. And this I found a little bit easier with my ruler method, simply because I had more paper to grab onto. And so what I can do here is fold this up like so. Again, score it with a bone folder. That's going to make it lay down nice and smooth. Go around all of those edges here. And then after I've got those score lines or those fold lines nicely scored, then I'll sort of unfold everything and then use my scissors to trim around the outside edge to really get the shape of that and the detail. It was just something I discovered after doing several pockets as it goes. It made it a little bit easier just because there's a bit more of the paper to grab onto. So here I've got my pocket and I've got my little tag inside. This is just one of the cutouts from the collection. I think she's really sweet, and she just goes right inside the pocket like so. Then for my card inside, I've got some of this sweet check pattern paper. I have a fussy cut floral image, and then I've got another single flower that I've cut out and popped up over here. And I've got a butterfly sticker. Now we'll talk more about the stickers here in just a moment. So I've just positioned this right down here on that pattern background paper so you can see a little bit of the design showing through there. And then I also have a Hello Dazzle. Now this is from a new to me set of dazzles. I love the script dazzles, and now they come in a really fun, cheerful orange. So I'm using the orange script greeting dazzles to go inside this really fun pocket card. Our second card also has a pocket focal and another sweet little woodland friend inside. Now this time I've used a cutting die to create the tag that fits inside my pocket. And the dies that I'm working with are the 5 elliptical cutting dies from Hot Off the Press. This is a really great tool to have in your crafting workbox because not only can you use them vertically and horizontally, you can also use them individually, or you can do, as I've done with my tag and as Debbie's done with the project on the back of the package, and use a variety of those shapes together, nesting them so that you can create some more dimension and layers on your project. So this is a really wonderful set to have, and this is what I have used to create a tag that just fits perfectly right inside that pocket. So I've first die cut the larger elliptical from plain white cardstock, and then the smaller one here from daisy pattern paper. Now I also have a layer of white vellum here, and this, along with some foam tape, helps my little bunny image to stand out from the pattern. So let me show you what I mean by this. I'm going to bring in just a piece of that daisy pattern paper, and you can see even between the two here the difference between having vellum layered on top and having just the pattern paper. But let me bring in a little bit of plain white vellum, and I think you can see how that really mutes back that pattern. Now the reason I did this is because it helps my image to stand out. Also some foam tape helps the image to stand out too. But if you can see here, if I just put her right down, she tends to get lost in that background design. She's lost in the daisies, and we want her to stand out. So if I bring in some white vellum, I think you can see the difference there. And so that's what I've done. I've die cut both of those 2 layers together using that die, and we're good to go. I did use a little bit of glue stick to adhere those together, and then I've got extra adhesive behind where this bunny image is. So that helps to keep everything together without some glue showing through there. So glue stick is going to be your trick for adding vellum to patterned paper. So I've got my cutouts popped up on foam tape, and that adds some extra depth. Now, speaking of depth, let me bring in the rest of my card here. Sometimes you have a tag or something that's going into a pocket, especially if you've got foam tape on here, and it can tend to get snagged on the edge of the pocket if you've got that pocket glued straight down. So what I've done is added this. I think you can maybe see a little bit. I've added this with some foam tape. So let me show you. Remember this pocket that we just cut out? Well, I've added foam tape on the back of those flaps, cutting that foam tape down so that it fits the width of those flaps. So let me show you. Here's my foam tape, and it comes on an even bigger roll than this. I've really gone through quite a lot of this because I use it a lot. But you'll notice that the foam tape width is wider than those flaps. So I use my gluey scissors, the ones that I don't use for paper, and I've trimmed that down, and then I add those to each of those flaps on there before I glue it to my project, and it gives just an extra bit of depth on there. Oh, one other thing I wanted to show you. This is the bone folder that I use to fold and really score down the edges of any pockets that I'm creating. A bone folder really does do the trick for that. And then, of course, simply popping this down onto the front of the card gives me an added little bit of depth and dimension on there. Now I've also wrapped this with some jute twine. I did not wrap it all the way around. I've trimmed off the edges just underneath, and of course it's secured down with some foam tape on the back. So that way I can tuck my little tag just right inside here, like so. And then she's positioned to kind of peek out over the top there. Now the front of my card is this really fun check pattern design. I've also added some solid green cardstock to the front of the card, covering that card front. And this is coming from the Sea Life stained glass cardstock pack, and you can see the variety of colors on there. So I first covered my card front with that green, and then added the check design here, and then built up from there. Then for my card inside, I have 2 more fussy cut images here with the bunny and the bird, plus the Sip and Savor sticker. So let's talk about the stickers in the Ciao Bella collections. These are a lot of fun to use. So I'm going to show you just a plain piece of white cardstock. Some of the designs you can simply cut out. They've got kind of a backing and some straight edges on here. And what you can do is simply trim around the outside edges with your scissors and pull this off and position it down like so. Very simple to do. They are a translucent material, so whatever you're layering this onto will show through a little bit, as we saw with our previous card with that butterfly. In fact, let me bring this back in, and you can see we're adding that colored butterfly on top of the green pattern paper. You can see that showing through just a little bit. So the other kind of design you'll find in the collection has a little bit more detailing. And what I recommend is that you take some scissors and do go around. You don't have to go around every little tiny detail, but pretty close to the overall design. And that's just going to have less of a shiny effect when you're positioning this down. So you won't have a lot of extra plastic kind of showing around the outside edges. So you'll just simply position it down like so. So you're getting a nice shine from the image, but you're not getting extra border going around the outside edges there. Really quick, easy to do, and a really fun way, I think, to add a little bit of extra texture and dimension to your card. So it's super simple to do. Okay, we have one more woodland project, and then we're going to move on to our Summer Days collection. I love a tag in a bag project, and it's really difficult for me even to resist creating a tag in a bag, especially when I have a collection like this one with those pattern papers and lots of images that work so nicely on a smaller surface. So here I've die cut the bag from some cardstock from the Sea Life Stained Glass cardstock collection. Now this is double-sided cardstock with different colors on each side, which means that when I fold this all up, I have this pretty burgundy on the front, and then I've got this goldenrod color showing on the inside flap. Now I've also used a portion of that same cardstock to mat this patterned paper that's been wrapped around the bag. And then on the front of my bag, I've got my bunting glued down, and I've got some of those cutout images popped up on foam tape there. Really sweet and easy way to create a really fun greeting card. Again, this is something that you can use to present a gift card or a money gift as well. Now for my tag, I've die cut this shape from pattern paper and then added some of those cutouts on there with some foam tape, and I've got some more jute twine tied up at the top. Now I know that regular viewers know how easy it is to use the tag in a bag die, but for any newcomers, let me just show you quickly the die and how to fold it up. So inside the package you have the bag, and then you've got the tag shape. And you've got your diagrams on here. Because it's out of the press, they always provide a project idea on the back of the storage folder. And this is where I keep my dies, as well as any little pieces that I die cut that I decide not to use for that project. So I've got some extras tucked in there as well. Now when you die cut your tag, it's going to be a nice basic tag shape. This is one that I use quite often even without the bag, but if you've got the bag and the tag going together, the bag is super easy to fold up. You will have your score lines on here, and all you need to do is simply grab your bone folder and score up those lines, and you'll have your bag ready to go. Now to secure these flaps down, I do recommend using the extra sticky tape for this. So once you've got that all folded and secured together, you are ready to decorate that. Super simple to do. Now going back to our tag. The tag, as I mentioned, very easy to die cut. It's just one piece here, but you can also use this same piece to create a stencil. And this is really helpful when you're trying to decide which portion of a pattern paper you want to cut into the tag shape. So if I bring this in, you can see it's a little bit easier if you can sort of move this around to see which area you want to use to create your tag. Now you can do it with just the die, but I find it works a lot easier to have some extra space around there so you can really see what that will look like once you have it die cut. And so that's what I've also done with another piece of just scrap cardstock, which I keep tucked in that storage folder. So going back to our tag and our bag together, all of these cutouts are popped up onto some foam tape for, again, a little bit of extra dimension. And then I've got some jute twine, which I've just tied right through this hole here. And this will get tucked right inside for a very sweet greeting. The Summer Days collection is a totally different look, but because the Ciao Bella collections are organized the same way, you will also have the easily coordinating elements like the pattern paper and those cutouts, as well as the stickers. So for this card, I first covered my card front with this kind of vintage style tropical theme pattern paper. I really love this, and I've overlapped it with some vellum, leaving the top and the bottom borders of that pattern paper showing. And then I've trimmed off about an inch from the front flap of the card to make a cutaway card design. I also have a cutout border going along the edge here, which I embellished with a lacy border sticker from the Lacy Butterfly Dazzles sheet. Now, this is all I have left of that sheet. This is where the lacy border was before I pulled it off and added it here. And I think it's just a really fun way to add something a little bit different in with this tropical theme. Then I've got a floral cluster cutout popped up on foam tape and accented with a bow tied in 1/8 inch ribbon. Now this is another ribbon set that I tend to use a lot, which is why I also don't have very much left in this package. But like the jute twine, this is a great way to add some softness and dimension to a project without adding in a lot of bulk. Then I've got this collection balanced up on the opposite corner with another cutout, another couple of cutouts. These are popped up on foam tape. I've added the Life is Better stickers right here, right onto the vellum, and I really like that look. Then I've got a lacy butterfly dazzle backed with a snippet of leftover pattern paper and then foam taped to the card front. Then for the card inside, I have some more pattern paper, plus the cutout and the happy thought sentiment. This is from the Lacy Butterflies Dazzle. And I've got a little bit of this white on white detailing here with a little bit more of that lacy border. I've got a white butterfly dazzle here at the top and then another one right here down at the bottom. So when the card is closed, you don't see any of this portion, but you will get a hint of what's inside with that lacy little butterfly dazzle. Our final card has some tropical flair. I've first covered the card front with this really fun pattern paper and then added a layer of white vellum and an elliptical of sticker paper. So this is the large adhesive map we saw when we were first flipping through the collection, and I've backed it with white cardstock so the pattern would really show up, and then die cut it with the elliptical dies. So let's take a look here. I don't have any more of that map sticker, unfortunately, but I do have another portion of another large sticker piece, which is the water. So what I've done is just trimmed out a portion of this, and I used my paper trimmer to make sure I had all straight edges. And then what I'm going to do is just start peeling this. Now, because this is a fairly large piece, I'm not going to pull off the liner all in one go, because we know what can happen is that it tends to get stuck to itself. So what I'll do is simply roll back a portion of that, and I'm going to place this onto my white cardstock, and then I'm going to sort of smooth this down and walk it along with my finger as I'm pulling off this liner. And that way I'll have it nice and smooth, doesn't get stuck to itself. I don't end up with any wrinkles or bubbles in here, And I'm ready to use this as my background if I wanted to, or take one of the dies, pop this down and run it through my die cutting machine and secure it down with a little bit of low tack tape. But it does die cut beautifully. Just make sure you back it onto another portion of cardstock so that that will go through easily. Not too thick of cardstock, just a nice standard weight will do the trick. And that's what I've done to create this piece. And as I mentioned, I've got this popped up on some foam tape. Then I've also got this flower cluster. Now this is another sticker backed onto white cardstock, and then I fussy cut around the outside edges. I did leave a little bit of white edge showing around there though. I've also got the beach tag here. Now this is just one of the cutouts popped up also on foam tape. And I have one of the lacy butterfly dazzles backed onto a little bit of patterned paper and then foam taped overlapping. Then for my card inside, I have a portion of wood grain patterned paper and a lace dazzle doily, plus some more cutout flowers and a sticker sentiment here, and then another little lacy butterfly dazzle to finish this off. And this is our final project of the day today. And a big thank you to our friends at Ciao for so many gorgeous supplies. This was a lot of fun to work with these two collections today. And a special thanks to you for joining me today as well. We're so glad that you're here, and we're happy that you're a part of our Paper Wishes family. Do feel free to leave a comment. We love to hear what you think. Each item can be purchased separately, and you can see them below. However, we've also bundled them into a creative money saver just for you. For the money saver, just see this webisode on paperwishes.com. And if you're watching us on YouTube, have a look in the description box below this video. You'll find a link that will take you to our Paper Wishes webisodes page, and you can see everything I just mentioned. If you enjoyed our video today, we'd really appreciate a thumbs up. It helps people to find our channel. And don't forget to subscribe. We create 3 to 5 videos each week, so there's always something fun to inspire your creative spirit.